Daeho picked at his cold food with a plastic spoon. The mess hall was full of noise, but he sat alone in the corner like always. Other soldiers from his unit laughed loudly at the next table. They were talking about their last mission, where they killed 3 alien scouts. Hyan-woo was making explosion sounds with his mouth, while Taimin acted out how he dodged enemy fire. The food tasted like cardboard, but Daeho kept eating anyway. He was hungry all the time now, because training was so hard. Every morning they had to run 10 miles before breakfast. Then came weapons, practice, and combat drills that lasted until dark. Daeho always finished last in everything. His legs were too short, and his arms were too weak. The other soldiers would be showered and eating dinner, while he was still struggling to complete the obstacle course. Captain Woo-jin walked into the mess hall wearing his usual angry expression. His boots made loud sounds on the metal floor as he moved between the tables. All the soldiers sat up straighter when they saw him coming. The captain was a big man, with scars on his face from fighting the aliens. Everyone respected him, because he had saved their base 3 times from enemy attacks. When the captain reached Daeho's table, he stopped walking. Daeho looked up from his food and felt his stomach drop. The captain only talked to him when something was wrong. Usually, it was about how poorly he had performed during training or how he had embarrassed the unit somehow. "Tomorrow, we have a big mission, Captain," Woo-jin said, in his deep voice. "I need every soldier ready to fight." "That means you too, Daeho." Daeho nodded quickly. "Yes, sir, I will be ready." The captain stared at him for a long moment. "You better be. We cannot afford weak links anymore. The enemy is getting stronger, and we are running out of good soldiers." After the captain walked away, Daeho felt even worse than before. He knew exactly what those words meant. The captain was giving him one last chance to prove himself. If he failed this mission, he would probably be kicked out of the unit, maybe even kicked out of the army completely. The alien invasion had started. 3 years ago, when huge ships appeared in the sky over major cities, at first people thought it might be a joke or some kind of movie stunt. Then the ships opened up and monsters came out. The creatures were 8 feet tall, with gray skin like stone. They had 4 arms and eyes that glowed red in the dark. Worst of all, they seemed to enjoy hunting humans for sport. The military called them hunters, because that is exactly what they did. They would land in populated areas and chase people through the streets like animals. Their weapons could burn through steel, and their armor was harder than tank plating. Regular bullets bounced off them like raindrops. Only the biggest military weapons could hurt them, and even then, it took multiple hits to bring one down. Daeho had joined the army right after the invasion started. He wanted to protect his family back home in Busan. His parents owned a small restaurant near the harbor. His little sister Minji was only 16 and still in school. When he left to join the military, his father had shaken his hand and told him to make the family proud. His mother had cried and made him promise to come home safe. That promise felt impossible to keep now. Daeho was barely 5 feet 6 inches tall and weighed less than most teenagers. During basic training, he had struggled with everything. The rifle felt too heavy in his hands. The pack full of gear made him walk like an old man. Other recruits could do 50 push-ups, while he could barely manage 10, but somehow he had passed all the minimum requirements. His shooting was accurate, even if he was slow. His knowledge of tactics and equipment was better than most soldiers. The instructors said he had potential if he could just get stronger. So they assigned him to the Crimson Phoenix unit, which was supposed to be one of the best fighting forces in the Korean military. Instead of helping him improve, the other soldiers in his unit treated him like a burden. Hyan-woo and Taemin never included him in their conversations. They acted like he was invisible most of the time. The female soldiers, Ji-yoon and Sora, would whisper to each other whenever he walked by. He knew they were talking about how weak he was and wondering why the captain kept him around. The worst part was that they were right to doubt him. During their last mission, Daeho had frozen up when a hunter scout appeared in the ruins of a bombed-out building. The alien creature had jumped down from a broken wall and landed right in front of him. Its red eyes had stared into his soul while its 4 arms reached 4 weapons. Daeho should have fired his rifle immediately, but instead he just stood there like a statue. Hyan-woo had saved his life by tackling the hunter from behind. While the 2 of them wrestled on the ground, Taemin had shot the creature multiple times with an armor-piercing rifle. Even then, it had taken almost 30 bullets to finally kill the thing. If Hyan-woo had been 1 second slower, Daeho would have been dead. After that mission, the other soldiers looked at him differently, not with anger or hatred, but with something worse. They looked at him with pity, like he was a lost child who had wandered into a war zone by mistake. Even Captain Wu Jin seemed disappointed in him. The captain had pulled him aside and asked if maybe he would be happier working in supply or communications instead of combat. Daeho had said no because he could not bear the shame of quitting. But now, as he sat alone in the mess hall, he wondered if that had been the wrong choice. Maybe he should accept that he was not meant to be a fighter. Maybe he should find some other way to help in the war that did not require courage or strength. The thought of calling his parents and telling them he had failed made his chest hurt. His father had been so proud when Daeho was accepted into an elite unit. His mother had bragged to all the neighbors about her son, the soldier, his sister. Minji had written him letters saying how brave he was and how all her friends thought he was a hero. How could he explain to them that he was actually the worst soldier in his unit? That his teammates had to risk their lives to protect him during missions? That the captain was probably going to kick him out after tomorrow's operation? The shame would destroy his family's reputation in their small community. Daeho finished his cold food and cleaned his plastic tray. Tomorrow's mission was supposed to be a simple reconnaissance patrol. They would investigate reports of unusual alien activity near an abandoned research facility outside Seoul, maybe. This time, he would find the courage to actually fight when the moment came. Maybe this time he would prove that he deserved to wear the uniform. But as he walked back to his bunk that night, Daeho could not shake the feeling that tomorrow would bring disaster. Something big was coming, and he was not ready for it. The morning alarm rang at 5:30, like always. Daeho rolled out of his narrow bunk and grabbed his gear. Around him, other soldiers were getting dressed and checking their weapons. Today felt different somehow. The air seemed thicker, and even the experienced soldiers looked nervous. Captain Wu Jin gathered everyone in the briefing room after breakfast. A large map hung on the wall showing the area around Seoul. Red marks indicated known hunter positions, while blue marks showed human military bases. There were a lot more red marks than blue ones. Intelligence reports strange activity at the old research facility, the captain said, pointing to a spot on the map. The place has been empty for 6 months, but our satellites picked up energy readings. Yesterday, could be hunters setting up a new base, or could be something else. The captain divided them into 3 teams of 4 soldiers each. Daeho found himself assigned to Team 3 with Ji-yoon and 2 soldiers named Dong-soo and Kyung-ho. He could tell by their faces that none of them were happy about having him on their team. Ji-yoon was one of the best marksmen in the unit, and the other 2 were veterans with multiple confirmed hunter kills. "Stay close and try not to get in the way," Ji-yoon told him as they loaded into the transport truck. Her voice was not mean, but it was not friendly either. "If we run into trouble, let us handle it." The research facility was 20 miles outside the city. During the drive, Daeho watched the landscape change from busy streets to empty farmland. Most of the farms had been abandoned when the invasion started. Now the fields were overgrown with weeds, and the houses stood, empty with broken windows. When they reached the facility, Daeho could see why the satellites had detected strange readings. The building looked normal from the outside, but something felt wrong about it. The air around the structure seemed to shimmer like heat waves rising from hot pavement. Their radio equipment started making crackling sounds, and the GPS in their truck stopped working. Spread out and approach carefully, Ji-yoon ordered through her radio headset. "Check every room, but do not go anywhere alone." The main entrance had been blown open months ago during the evacuation. Glass covered the floor, and emergency lights flickered on and off. Their footsteps echoed in the empty hallways as they moved deeper into the building. Dong-soo and Kyung-ho took point while Ji-yoon stayed in the middle. Daeho brought up the rear, like always. They found the first bodies in the main laboratory on the 3rd floor. 5 scientists and 3 security guards lay scattered across the floor. But these deaths were different from typical hunter kills. Usually the aliens left nothing but burned skeletons behind. These people looked like they had simply laid down to sleep. Their faces were peaceful, and their clothes were not even torn. "This does not make sense," Kyung-ho whispered as he knelt beside one of the bodies. "Hunters do not kill like this. They burn everything they touch." June was examining a computer terminal when she called them over. "Look at this. The system is still running, even though the power grid was shut down months ago." Something is keeping these machines alive. The computer screen showed data that none of them could understand. Numbers and symbols scrolled past too fast to read. But Daeho noticed something strange about the patterns. They almost looked like they were trying to communicate something, like a message written in a language that humans had never seen before. That was when the ceiling above them started to crack. At first, it looked like normal structural damage from the invasion. Then the cracks began to spread in perfect geometric patterns. Something was cutting through the concrete from above, using tools that left edges smoother than any human technology could create. A section of ceiling suddenly fell away, and something dropped through the opening. It hit the laboratory floor with a wet splashing sound that made all 4 soldiers jump backward. Their weapons came up instantly, but what they saw made them hesitate. The creature was unlike anything in their training manuals. It was small, about the size of a house cat, but it did not look like any earth animal. Its body was transparent, like clear jelly, and colored lights pulsed through it in slow waves. Tentacles writhed around what might have been its head, and when it moved, it left a trail of glowing slime behind. "What is that thing?" Dong-su asked in a shaky voice. His rifle was pointed at the creature, but his hands were trembling. "Is it some kind of hunter weapon?" The creature made a sound that was not quite a voice, but not quite music either. Then something impossible happened. Words formed inside their heads without passing through their ears. The voice was alien and strange, but somehow they could understand every word it spoke. "I am dying," the creature said directly into their minds. "My ship crashed in your atmosphere 7 days ago. I am the only survivor of my crew. I need help, or I will die within the hour." All 4 soldiers stared at the alien being in shock. First, contact with intelligent alien life was supposed to happen in laboratories with scientists and diplomats present. Not in an abandoned building with 4 scared soldiers who barely knew what they were doing. "Help you how?" Juwen asked out loud. She was the team leader, so she felt responsible for making decisions. "What kind of help do you need? I need a host." The creature replied, and its mental voice carried emotions they could feel. Fear and desperation, and something that might have been hope. "My people cannot survive in your atmosphere without bonding with a compatible life form. But the host must be willing, and the match must be perfect." The alien being began to move across the floor toward them. Dong-su and Kyung-ho backed away quickly, but Ji-eun held her ground. Daeho found himself stepping forward instead of backward. Something about the creature called to him in ways he could not explain. "Not everyone can be a host," the alien continued. "The mental patterns must align correctly. The genetic structure must be compatible. Most beings in the galaxy cannot bond with my people without dying in the process." As it spoke, the creature seemed to be examining each of them somehow. Daeho could feel something touching the edges of his thoughts, like gentle fingers exploring the inside of his mind. The sensation was not painful, but it was strange and overwhelming. When the alien reached Dong-su, it paused for a moment, then moved on. The same thing happened with Kyung-ho, and then with Gun. But when it approached Daeho, everything changed. The mental connection became much stronger, and he could feel the creature's excitement mixing with his own confusion. "Yes," the alien said, and its voice in his head was filled with joy and relief. "You are compatible. You are exactly what I have been searching for. Will you accept the bonding and save both our lives?" Daeho stared down at the alien creature as it waited for his answer. The transparent being pulsed with colors he had never seen before. Its tentacles moved in patterns that somehow seemed familiar, even though he had never encountered anything like it. The other soldiers stood frozen behind him with their weapons still raised. "What happens if I say yes?" Daeho asked. His voice came out as a whisper because his throat felt dry. "What does bonding mean exactly?" "I will merge with your body and mind," the creature replied inside his head. "We will become one being with shared thoughts and abilities. You will gain access to my knowledge and my people's technology. But you will still be yourself. Your personality and memories will remain intact." Ji-eun stepped forward with her rifle pointed at the alien. "Do not listen to it, Daeho. This could be some kind of hunter trap. We should kill it now before it can hurt." Anyone but Daeho was not listening to her anymore. Something deep inside him was responding to the creature's presence. All his life, he had felt like he was missing something important, like there was a part of him that had never been awakened. Now that missing piece seemed to be calling out to this strange being from space. "Will it hurt?" he asked. There will be some discomfort during the initial merging. The alien answered honestly. But after that, you will feel stronger and more complete than ever before. I promise you will not regret this choice. Dongsu and Kung Ho were backing toward the door. We need to get out of here, Dongsu said, in a panicked voice. This is way above our pay grade. We should call for backup and let the scientists handle this. But even as he spoke, the building started shaking around them. Through the broken windows, they could hear the distinctive whining sound of hunter aircraft approaching. The enemy had detected the alien presence and were coming to investigate. Choose. Quickly, the creature urged Daeho. If the hunters find me, they will destroy both of us. They fear my people above all other beings in the galaxy. They will not allow this bonding to take place. The sound of aircraft was getting louder. Soon, there would be hunter soldiers in the building. Daeho knew his team could not fight them. Off they were just regular human soldiers with basic weapons. Against hunter technology, they would not stand a chance. I accept, Daeho said suddenly. I will bond with you. The creature moved toward him immediately. As it touched his leg, Daeho felt a strange tingling sensation like electricity running through his body. The alien being began to flow upward, like liquid mercury climbing his uniform. When it reached his chest, it suddenly plunged forward and disappeared into his body. The pain was incredible. Every nerve in Daeho's body felt like it was on fire. He collapsed to his knees, screaming as the alien creature spread through his bloodstream and nervous system. His teammates shouted his name, but he could barely hear them over the roaring sound in his ears. Then something wonderful happened. The pain stopped and was replaced by the most amazing feeling he had ever experienced. Power flowed through his muscles like lightning through copper wire. His weak arms suddenly felt strong enough to lift a car. His slow reflexes became lightning fast. Most incredible of all, his mind expanded to hold thoughts and memories that were not his own. He could see the alien's past like watching a movie inside his head. The creature's name was impossible to pronounce with human vocal cords, but it meant something like bright spark of hope in its native language. Its people were called the Builders, and they had traveled the galaxy for millions of years, seeding worlds with life and knowledge. The Hunters were not just invading Earth for resources. They were part of a much larger war that had been raging across the universe for countless generations. The Builders represented evolution and growth, while the Hunters wanted to keep all life forms primitive and controllable. Humanity had caught their attention because humans showed signs of rapid development that threatened Hunter philosophy. As the bonding completed, Daeho slowly stood up. His body was glowing with a soft blue light that seemed to come from beneath his skin. When he looked at his teammates, he could see their fear and amazement. His eyes had changed color and now held flecks of the same alien hues that had pulsed through the creature's transparent form. I am still me, he told them, and his voice carried new harmonics that made the air vibrate. But I am also more than I was before. I can feel its memories and knowledge becoming part of me. We are going to save this world through the creatures. Enhanced senses, he could perceive things that had been invisible before. The building around them was not just a research facility. It contained hidden technology left behind by the Builders centuries ago. The computers that were still running were actually alien machines disguised as human equipment. The Hunters are here, Jiun said, pointing toward the windows. 3 aircraft landing on the roof. We need to get out of here now, but Daeho was not afraid anymore. Through his new partner's memories, he could see the Hunters clearly for what they really were. They were not unstoppable monsters. They were just another species with their own weaknesses and limitations. More importantly, he now understood how to fight them effectively. No, he said, turning toward the stairway that led to the roof. We are not running away. It is time to show these Hunters what humans are capable of when we stop being afraid. The alien consciousness inside him pulsed with approval and shared excitement. For the first time in 3 years, the Builders had found a species worthy of joining their ancient alliance. The war between evolution and stagnation was about to enter a new phase. Daeho walked toward the stairs with confidence he had never felt before. Behind him, his confused teammates followed reluctantly. Above them, Hunter soldiers were already breaking through the roof access door. The weakest member of the Crimson Phoenix unit was about to become their greatest weapon. The real fight was just beginning, but for the first time since the invasion started, humanity had hope. The bond between human determination and Builder technology. It was going to change everything. The galaxy would never be the same. The hunter soldiers came through the roof access door like gray shadows, moving faster than human eyes could follow. Their weapons were already charging with deadly energy that made the air smell like burning metal, breathing hard behind him as they realized how badly outmatched they were. But everything was different now. Through his enhanced senses, Deho could see the hunters in slow motion, now appeared clumsy and predictable. He could see exactly where each enemy would move before they did it themselves. The first hunter raised its plasma rifle and fired directly at Deho's chest. The energy bolt that should have vaporized him, instead, passed harmlessly around his body like water flowing around a stone. The alien technology in his cells had created some kind of protective field that deflected the attack. Impossible, the hunter hissed, in its own language. But Deho understood every word thanks to his new partner's knowledge. The weak human has been contaminated by builder technology. All units converge on this position immediately. More hunters were coming up the stairs behind the first group. Deho could hear their heavy footsteps and the whining sound of their equipment. In a few seconds, this room would be full of enemy soldiers with enough firepower to level the entire building. "Stay back," Deho told his teammates without turning. "Around this is going to get dangerous." He moved forward faster than any human had ever moved before. To Ji-yoon and the others, he seemed to simply disappear from one spot and reappear right next to the nearest hunter. His enhanced strength allowed him to grab the alien's weapon and crush it like paper in his hands. The hunter tried to strike him with its forearms, but Deho was already moving again. Their clumsy attempts to hit him. Every movement was perfectly calculated thanks to the tactical knowledge now stored in his brain. When he struck back, his blows carried power that surprised even him. His fist connected with a hunter's armored chest and sent the 8-foot-tall creature flying backward through the concrete wall. The impact left a crater in the building's structure, and the alien did not get back up. The remaining hunters opened fire with everything they had. Energy bolts filled the air like deadly fireworks, but none of them could touch Deho. He moved between the beams of light, dancing through the crossfire, while his teammates watched in amazement from their hiding spots. "What has he become?" Kung-ho whispered to Ji-yoon. "That is not human anymore," but Ji-yoon was watching more carefully. Despite his incredible new abilities, Deho was still recognizably himself. War during training. His movements had the same careful precision that made him a good marksman, even when he was weak. The bonding had not replaced him, it had simply unlocked his potential. The battle lasted less than 3 minutes. When the last hunter fell, the building became quiet except for the sound of settling debris. Deho stood among the alien corpses, breathing normally while his body continued to glow with soft blue light. The fight. "How did you do that?" Dong-su asked, in a voice full of awe and fear. "You moved like you could see the future in a way." "I could," Deho replied. "My partner's people have been fighting hunters for millions of years. They know every tactic and weakness these creatures have. Now that knowledge is part of me too." Through the broken windows, they could hear more aircraft approaching. The hunters were sending reinforcements to investigate what had happened to their advance team. But Deho was not worried anymore. He could sense exactly how many enemies were coming and what weapons they carried. Checking her radio equipment, Command needs to know about this immediately. They need to understand what you have become. The trip back to Forward Base Delta took 2 hours through back roads and abandoned farmland. Deho spent the time learning to control his new abilities, while his teammates asked endless questions. Some of the answers came from his own understanding, but many came directly from the alien consciousness that now shared his mind. "Are there others like you?" Ji-yoon wanted to know. "Other aliens who can bond with humans, many others?" Deho answered. "My partner was part of a scouting mission that has been waiting on Earth for decades. We'll awaken and seek compatible hosts. Humanity is about to change in ways we cannot imagine." When they reached the base captain, Woo-jin was waiting for them in the command center. His usual angry expression changed to confusion when he saw Deho walking normally, despite having been in combat with multiple hunters. The captain had expected casualties, or at least wounded soldiers. "Report," the captain ordered. G-EUN explained everything that had happened at the research facility. Some looked skeptical, while others seemed frightened by the implications. The idea that their weakest soldier had somehow become more powerful than entire hunter squads was difficult to accept. If you really have these abilities, then demonstrate them. Show us what you can do. They went to the base's training facility where targets and obstacles were set up for combat practice. Daeho asked Sora to fire her sidearm at him from 20 feet away. Bullet moved toward Daeho in what seemed like slow motion. He reached out casually and caught it between his fingers like someone catching a thrown ball. The piece of metal was still warm from the gunpowder, but it had not been traveling fast enough to hurt him. "Dear God," Captain Woojin whispered. "What? Have you become I am still human?" Daeho replied. "But I am also something more. Something that can help us win this war and save our world from destruction." That night, alarms started ringing throughout the base. Hunter forces were approaching in larger numbers than ever before. They had detected the alien presence and were coming to eliminate the threat it represented. The real test of Daeho's new abilities was about to begin as he stood on the base walls. Looking out at the approaching enemy, Daeho felt calm and confident for the first time in his life. The weak soldier who had been his unit's greatest liability was gone forever. In his place stood something new, something that would change the course of the war. The Hunter attack came just before dawn when the sky was still dark. Daeho stood on the base walls watching red lights move through the forest like deadly fireflies. His enhanced vision could see details that normal human eyes would miss. There were 12 enemy aircraft circling the base and at least 40 Hunter soldiers moving through the trees. "This is the biggest force they have ever sent against us," Captain Woojin said through his radio headset. "Something has them really angry." All units prepare for full assault, but Daeho knew this attack was different. Through his alien partners' knowledge, he understood that the Hunters were not just trying to destroy another human military base, they were specifically hunting him. The bonding had created something they feared more than any human weapon. "They are not here for the base," he told the captain. "They are here for me." The Hunters know that humans bonded with builder technology represent the end of their galactic empire. They will do anything to stop more bondings from taking place. Dr. Unesio had arrived during the night to study Daeho's transformation. She was the base's chief medical officer and one of the smartest people he had ever met. Her scanner readings showed that his DNA was still completely human, but it had been enhanced in ways that current science could not explain. "Your cellular structure is producing energy at impossible rates," she told him while checking her equipment. "Your brain activity is off the charts, and your physical capabilities seem to be growing stronger every hour. Whatever bonded with you has fundamentally changed how your body works." Through his shared consciousness, Daeho could feel his alien partner's excitement about the coming battle. For millions of years, the builders had been forced to retreat from Hunter aggression. Now, finally, they had found allies worthy of carrying their technology into combat. The first energy blasts hit the base's outer walls just as the sun started to rise. Hunter plasma cannons could melt through steel like butter, and their targeting systems never missed. But somehow, the shots that should have destroyed the defensive positions instead dispersed harmlessly in the air. "Impossible," Captain Wu said, staring at his undamaged fortifications. "Those weapons should have leveled our walls." "What is happening out there?" Daeho was happening. Without even thinking about it, he had extended his protective field to cover the entire base. The same technology that had deflected the Hunter's rifle shot in the research facility was now shielding hundreds of human soldiers. But he could feel the strain on his enhanced abilities. Protecting this many people was exhausting. "I cannot hold this forever," he told the captain. "The field will collapse in less than an hour. We need to take the fight to them before that happens." "You cannot go out there alone," June protested. She had volunteered to stay close to Daeho during the battle, even though her normal weapons would be useless against Hunter armor. "Come with you. We can provide support." But Daeho was already moving toward the base's main gate. His enhanced senses could track every enemy position, and his tactical knowledge showed him exactly how to approach them. This was not going to be a normal battle where human soldiers fought desperately against superior alien technology. This was going to be a hunt, and for the first time, humans would be the predators. The moment he stepped outside the base perimeter, 3 Hunter aircraft opened fire on him simultaneously. Energy beams that could vaporize tanks converged on his position, creating an explosion that lit up the morning sky. When the smoke cleared, Daeho was still standing completely unharmed. Target is protected by unknown defensive systems, one of the hunter pilots reported in their alien language. Switching to kinetic weapons, but kinetic weapons were even less effective. Bullets and missiles simply bounced off Daeho's energy field like raindrops hitting a window. Meanwhile, he was analyzing their attack patterns and learning the weaknesses in their formation. Every shot they fired gave him more information about their capabilities. When he finally moved, it was faster than the hunters could react. He leaped from the ground and landed on the nearest aircraft while it was still in flight. His enhanced strength allowed him to tear through the alien metal like it was made of paper. The vehicle crashed in a ball of fire that sent the other pilots scrambling for new positions. The ground forces tried to surround him, but Daeho could see their movements before they made them. He flowed between their positions like water finding the path of least resistance. Every hunter he encountered fell to strikes that hit with the force of artillery shells. "This is impossible," the hunter commander hissed over their communication network. "One contaminated human cannot defeat the entire assault force." All units focus fire on the target, but focusing their fire only made things worse for the hunters. When they grouped together, Daeho could eliminate multiple enemies with single attacks. His tactical knowledge showed him exactly how to use their own formations against them. Within 30 minutes, half their force had been destroyed. Hunters tried to retreat, but Daeho was not finished with them. Through his alien partner's memories, he knew that these particular soldiers had been responsible for destroying a human city in Japan. Thousands of innocent people had died because of their actions. Justice demanded that they pay for their crimes. When the last hunter fell, the forest became quiet, except for the sound of burning wreckage. Daeho stood among the destroyed vehicles and alien corpses, feeling more alive than ever before. The power flowing through his body was intoxicating, but he could sense that this was only the beginning. "Incredible," Dr. Unesio said when he returned to the base. "My instruments detected energy readings during the battle that should not be possible with current physics. You were generating power levels comparable to a small nuclear reactor." But the most important discovery came when they examined the hunter. Equipment hidden inside their communication devices were star charts showing the location of something called the Devourer fleet. According to the alien data, this massive armada was approaching Earth and would arrive in less than 6 months. "The hunters were just scouts," Daeho explained, using knowledge from his bonded partner. "The real invasion force is still coming. Thousands of ships carrying weapons that can destroy entire planets. Humanity has 6 months to prepare for a war that will determine the fate of our species." Through his enhanced senses, he could feel other bondings beginning to take place around the world. Other humans were awakening to their potential as more builder scouts found compatible hosts. A soldier named Minho in Japan, a scientist called Yunji in Australia, a pilot named Dongwu in Europe. All of them suddenly displaying impossible abilities as their alien partners merged with human determination. The age of enhanced humanity had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. 3 weeks after the bonding, everything had changed at Forward Base Delta. Scientists and military officials arrived daily to study Daeho and understand what had happened to him. Some wanted to replicate the process, while others feared that humanity was losing control of its own evolution. Dr. Unesio ran tests every day, but Daeho's biology continued to defy explanation. His DNA remained completely human, yet his cells produced energy at rates that should have been impossible. His brain scans showed activity patterns that looked more like complex computer networks than normal human thought processes. "You are becoming something entirely new," she told him after reviewing the latest results. "Not just enhanced human, but a bridge between 2 different forms of life. Your partner is not just living inside you, it is helping you evolve into something the galaxy has never seen before." Through his shared consciousness, Daeho could feel other enhanced humans awakening around the world. Each new bonding sent ripples through the builder network that connected all their people across space and time. Humanity was joining an ancient alliance that had been fighting the forces of stagnation for millions of years. The first contact came from Minho in Japan. The former tank commander had bonded with a builder scout during a desperate battle against hunter forces near Tokyo. His message arrived through channels that human technology could not explain, but Daeho understood it perfectly through his alien partner's knowledge. "I can feel you across the ocean," Minho said in words that appeared directly in Daeho's mind. "The connection between our people is growing stronger." Soon, we will be able to coordinate our efforts against the coming invasion. More contacts followed. Over the next few days, Yonji in Australia had bonded while studying alien artifacts in a government laboratory. Dongwu in Europe had merged with his partner during a dogfight with hunter aircraft over the Mediterranean Sea. Each new enhanced human brought unique abilities and knowledge that added to their collective strength, but the most important discovery came when Daeho accessed the Builder database hidden beneath the research facility. Using his enhanced abilities, he could interface directly with alien technology that had been disguised as human equipment for decades. The information he found changed everything they thought they knew about the war. The hunters are not the real enemy, he explained to Captain Wu Jin and the other officers. They are just foot soldiers for something much worse. The Devourers are ancient beings that consume entire civilizations, leaving nothing but empty space behind them. Earth has 6 months before their main fleet arrives. The star charts he downloaded showed the true scope of the threat facing humanity. Thousands of ships, each one the size of a small moon, were moving through space toward the solar system. Their weapons could crack planets in half, and their technology was so advanced that normal military forces could not even scratch their armor. "How do we fight something like that, Captain?" Wu Jin asked. The veteran soldier had faced impossible odds before, but this was beyond anything in his experience. "With Builder technology," Daeho replied. "My partner's people left weapons and tools hidden all over Earth, waiting for a species worthy of using them. The Great Pyramid in Egypt, the stone circles in England, the temples in Cambodia, all of them contain technology that can level the playing field." The mission to reach the nearest cache was planned carefully. Hidden beneath an ancient mountain temple in the Korean wilderness was a Builder installation that had been waiting for thousands of years. But the hunters had detected Daeho's presence and were actively hunting him now, sending increasingly dangerous forces to eliminate the threat he represented. Captain Wu Jin assigned the unit's best soldiers to accompany Daeho on the mission. Guillaume had adapted quickly to working with his enhanced abilities and proved skilled at providing support during combat. Han Wu and Taemin struggled more with the role reversal, but their professional training helped them accept that their former weakest link was now their most valuable asset. The journey to the mountain temple took 3 days through forests and valleys where hunter patrols searched constantly for their target. But each encounter taught Daeho more about his abilities and helped him understand the deeper connection between himself and his alien partner. They were not just host and parasite anymore, they were becoming something entirely new. "I can feel the temple calling to me," he told his team as they climbed toward the ancient structure. "The Builder technology recognizes what I have become. Soon I will have access to weapons and knowledge that can change the course of this war." But the hunters had arrived first. A full war party waited among the temple ruins, their weapons trained on every approach route. These were not the same creatures that had been terrorizing Earth's military forces. These were elite warriors, bigger and more heavily armored than any hunter previously encountered, and they had brought technology specifically designed to counter Builder enhancements. The battle began at dawn with Ji-yoon providing sniper support, while Han Wu and Taemin flanked the temple grounds. But it quickly became clear that this fight was beyond normal human capabilities. The elite hunters moved with deadly precision, their weapons firing energy bursts that could level entire buildings. As he fought his way through the hunter war party, Daeho felt something changing inside him. His alien partner's presence was growing stronger, not taking him over, but merging more completely with his consciousness. He could access memories from across the galaxy, knowledge of battles fought between stars, and most importantly, he could feel the awakening of humanity's true potential. When he finally reached the temple's inner chamber, he found something that took his breath away. The Builder installation was not just a weapons cache, it was a communication array connecting Earth to a vast network of enhanced beings throughout the galaxy. Humanity was not alone in this fight. They were joining an ancient alliance of species that had been resisting the Devourers for millions of years. The knowledge that flowed into his mind was overwhelming. Battle tactics used in wars between solar systems, technologies that could reshape matter at the molecular level, and most importantly, the location of the Devourer fleet that was approaching Earth. They had 6 months, just as his partner had predicted, but now they had the tools to fight back. As the sun rose over the mountain temple, Daeho stood among the defeated hunter warriors, his body crackling with new energy. Around the world, other enhanced humans were making contact, other builder installations were coming online. The weak soldier who had once been his unit's greatest liability had become the first link in a chain that would transform humanity itself. The age of enhanced humanity had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again.